of things that are happening out and about in the world, do us a favor, please come on in and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and consider being a member of Status Coup News, because we are seeing left voices snatched off platforms, left and right, everybody. And as much as we hope that YouTube remains on the up and up, the possibility remains that Google and its products could also be on some fuck shit like Twitter is these days. So it's important that you support materially as much as you're able independent media voices, particularly those on the left. And given the beat of Status Coup, covering working people issues, covering unions, covering the waywardness of of the so-called left politicians. Does America even have an elected political left? That's important. That happens right here on Status Coup. So as much as you're able, please support the channel materially and support it in all the free ways as well. Follow, subscribe, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. So I wanted to lead off with a little bit of breaking news. So this is coming out of More Perfect Union. Of course, I'm sure you all are familiar with the outlet. And they have reported that rail workers have ousted the union president who backed a labor deal. And this is coming from the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainsmen, the second largest member rail union, 28,000 members. The 12-year incumbent president has been ousted in a vote for president that apparently, according to More Perfect Union, they are reporting that the rank and file members are clearly dissatisfied with that deal, that labor agreement that was rammed down their throats by the Biden White House and by Congress. And they are deciding to go in a different direction. And the new president is Eddie Hall Jr., who is a working engineer, also a union officer out of Tucson. So congratulations to Eddie Hall, and congratulations to the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainsmen for deciding to go in a different direction, because that's the wonderful thing about worker-led movements and organizations like unions. Hey, it's a democracy. If one of them ain't getting it done with the leadership and the negotiating skills at the top, get him out of there. Time to get somebody new in there who is going to actually stand up for the rank and file. And More Perfect Union is also reporting that this election was won by Mr. Hall with 53% of the vote. So it's a little bit of breaking news there. And keep it here to Status Coup News. I'm sure Jordan will bring you subsequent updates about the significance of this new election of a new president of the BLET, and what this could mean for the potential of a railroad workers strike, which I definitely think needs to happen, should happen. I understand why it has quite not happened, because the rail workers, their retirement and their pension is done a little differently. They don't necessarily pay into the Social Security scheme like the rest of us. So if they were to walk before collecting their retirement, they would lose it. So that's part of the reason I think a lot of these railroad workers have not just, taken their last check and hit the bricks, because they paid into their system. And that's not something that you can easily walk away from. So I understand that, but I'm certain that the deal imposed upon them by Congress, by Democrats, and a Democratic president is not going to sit too well. And we may see some more of that. So going forward. So just a little bit of breaking news there off the top. And it really leads into what I wanted to get into today. So you saw the thumbnail. Okay. Barack Obama has a clip that is making the rounds on social media, Twitter specifically today, even commented upon by Twitter's overlord, Elon Musk. And when I did some more digging, I discovered, not all that hard, but this is not a new clip. This is not something that Obama has said freshly, but it's relevant very much today, because in light of this news coming from the rail union And just given my ponderings and my musings as of late, usually I'm very pessimistic about whether or not capitalism can be defeated, and whether or not the people will actually win, whether or not the planet will actually win. But I have figured that I think we're actually about to win. Yes, I do. Seriously, I actually believe that winning is on the horizon, despite the fact that I think that is going to get a little bit worse, maybe a lot worse, before it gets better. But I see victory on the horizon, and here's why. Because when I saw this clip that I'm about to show you from Obama, and then I realized it was from 2019 when he was speaking at the Obama Foundation, blah, 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 whatever the fuck, right? I'm like, oh, Obama said this in 2019. And yet, subsequently, since 2020, this exact kind of talking point has been seized upon by the right, by Tucker Carlson, Fox News, even elected officials like Governor Ron DeSantis. And I said, no, wait a second. When Obama, the so-called de facto head of the Democratic Party, for all intents and purposes, right? They only call on Obama when they want to win some shit, right? They don't call on fucking Joe Biden. What's Biden going to do? No, Obama gets the asses in the seats, right? So Obama's still running the party by and large. So here's Obama, allegedly the head of the political left and the elected left, and he started smearing the phrase woke way before Tucker Carlson and them started. I said, no, wait a minute. I said, when both heads of the monster are speaking the same language, that tells me that the monster is very, very afraid of what is coming for it. So let's revisit this clip from Barack Obama back in 2019, when he's basically chastising the youth. He's chastising Gen Z, younger millennials, chastising the ways in which social media movements have been organized, or movements have been able to be organized on social media. And he thinks, and to some extent he's not wrong, but just simply tweeting is not activism. Yes, but it is a new way to engage those people who may not have been previously aware of particular struggles or specific fights or varying things. So anyway, let's check out this clip from Obama, and then we're going to hear how he's been parroted. He's been parroted a lot by those on his so-called political opposition. Let's take a listen.
You know, this idea of purity, and you're never compromised, and you're always politically woke and all that stuff. You should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. People who you are fighting may love their kids and, you know, share certain things with you. And I think that one danger I see among young people, particularly on college campuses, Malia and I talk about this. Yara goes to school with my daughter. But I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, there is this sense sometimes of the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people. And that's enough. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. Let me get on TV, watch my show, watch Grownish. You know, that's not activism. That's not bringing about change. You know, if all you're doing is casting stones, you know, you're probably not going to get that far. That's easy to do.
You heard that delayed applause. Didn't nobody want to clap for that shit? Nobody wanted to hear that shit that Obama was talking. And it's so very typical of him. I'll talk about him for a second and then talk about the greater, broader class interest that Obama is representing right there. But if you want to know where progressive movements go to die, you look no further than Barack Obama. Every opportunity there has been for a social movement to really gain some traction, or for a particular action to potentially gain some traction. I'm thinking specifically of the NBA players when they decided not to play and they were threatening a labor strike. Obama called LeBron and said, no, 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 no. Y'all need to cut all that shit out. All that radical activist shit. Nah. You don't want to do none of that. And there is Barack Obama there, totally upholding the status quo and reinforcing this misplaced sense of civility and decorum, because basically what he's saying is that people in his position, powerful people, rich people, politically strong folks out here, if you simply criticize them online, then you're not really doing anything, you're just casting stones. Well, what most of us don't have is the political power. So, but we do have is the power of our phones, right? And Twitter is what is so interesting, that of all people, Elon Musk, like I said, this clip has resurfaced. It is remaking the rounds. It has millions of views on it. And Elon himself commented on this and said that the president spoke wise words. And so for Elon and Obama to be united, or for Elon to be united with Obama's whack ass message right there, about how people aren't perfect and no one's pure and this, that, and the third. Well, what kind of impurities are we talking about, Mr. President? Are we talking about regime change in Libya, but you promised not to do? Instead, Libya has been thrown into complete chaos, an open air slave market for all intents and purposes. Notice how we don't get any much reporting about Libya. You heard about the Lockerbie, Scotland alleged terrorist that has been captured, but not much about how Libya is doing these days. It's just funny how that happens. Or in the ways that Obama definitely tried to stifle and neutralize the Black Lives Matter movement, even after leaving office, derided defund the police as a strong policy position, which I still very much support. Defund and abolish. But Obama is here to kill our dreams. Okay. And the sad thing is that, he was the bougie realization of what a lot of people thought would be the coming together of the United States, and as him being elected president would somehow be a reflection of the reckoning that America has gone through, the racial reckoning. Like, his election was supposed to be symbolic that we have moved past race, post-racial. And everything that comes out his mouth since he left office just reminds me how his entire elections too and his presidency was an entire scam run on us to deflate the progressive movement, to deflate any sort of sincere radical movements coming out of what was happening in 2008. Obama got our vote because he voted against war, right? He voted against the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And what the fuck did he do? Right when he got into office, continued engaging in war, actively engaged in regime change, and authorized billions of more funding for police and law enforcement, right? Obviously, an enemy of the people and our class enemy nonetheless. And just to show you how Obama was actually ahead of the curve when it came to deriding the term woke and what it means to be woke. And it's so funny to me to see how woke has been turned into a diss. But you notice it's only a diss coming from clowns. Coming from clowns like Tucker Carlson, coming from clowns like Barack Obama. They like to use woke as a pejorative, right? And the bottom line is, it's okay to be woke. Okay, what woke real means is that you understand that the systems, multiple systems in this country, are unequal. And to be woke is to want to see everything be distributed equally. You could call it socialism, you could call it a lot of things. I support woke. I support people being free to be who they are without fear of any sort of state persecution, i.e., anti-trans bills, anti-LGBTQ bills. I just want people to be able to be who they are. And to me, that is one of small example of what it is to be woke. And there's nothing wrong with being woke. And the fact that Obama, Elon Musk, and now we're going to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis, who very famously likes to deride the word woke. And what do these three assholes have in common? Let's take a listen to DeSantis real quick.
We reject woke ideology. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
So woke is the word that the elites are using to basically tell you that they like the things exactly the way they are. They want to keep the status quo. They do not want to see redistribution of wealth, of access to means of production, to for people to be free amongst their genders, amongst their gender identity. They don't want to see workers be paid fairly. They don't want to teach American history in the proper way. And it's just so funny to me to see the Venn diagram for Ron DeSantis, Elon Musk, and Barack Obama to be standing firm on being anti-woke. So that should tell all of us that, number one, these ideas of political divisions in the United States, at least among the elected parties in power, it's a farce. There's only a couple of issues, truly, in which Republicans and Democrats disagree on. One of those happens to be abortion rights. The other happens to be what the Biden administration actually did, something tangible. I won't call it material. Maybe in some ways it is material, but signing the marriage equality into law so that, bigoted asshole states where interracial marriage is frowned upon, gay marriage is frowned upon. These legal unions will have to be recognized even in states in which they are not themselves legal. So that was actually a singular good thing. But what has Biden done with this democratically controlled Congress that he's about to lose control over? Have they increased the wages for people? They attempted some student loan debt relief. Not good enough. It was already short to begin with. And the conservatives have got it yoked up in court. So what exactly are the Democrats trying to do to change your material condition? The answer is very little. The answer is they stand with anti-union, environmental contaminating people like Elon Musk. Ron DeSantis, why is DeSantis in the right taking cues from Barack Obama? Because ultimately they all have the same interests. They just talk a different game, but ultimately their interests are the same. And the Democrats, along with Joe Biden, showed us that when they forced, for example, that labor agreement down the throats of the railroad workers. They're not interested in union strength. They're not interested in the power and the bargaining power of people and the workers. No, they are here to capitulate to the 1%, to the Warren Buffetts, to the Elon Musks, to the Jeff Bezoses, and that's it. And the rest of us are supposed to get in line. Are you ready to get in line? Are you ready to get in the streets? Because I don't want to get in line. Okay? I'm not here to earn another cent towards Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Bank of America or anybody else. I'm not trying to contribute to the bottom lines of any more of these billionaires or their corporations or even any of these politicians. So it's really time for a radical shift in this country that has to be worker driven. It has to be egalitarian. We have to be able to move beyond the issues that we are dealing with race and gender identity, because those indeed are the divisions that the oligarchs and the elites thrust upon us to keep us separated. Okay. But listen, I'm not standing with no billionaire. And it's really wild to see, like that. Did you guys see? I meant to pull the clip of Chappelle and Elon. I'm certain everybody has seen it by now, but it was really disappointing. But at the same time, very unsurprising to see Dave Chappelle, comedic genius, go up for an idiot billionaire like Elon Musk, and then for Chappelle to even try to chastise His own audience in defense of Elon was the height of clownery. I said, Dave is gone. Dave is no longer in class solidarity with the rest of us. Dave has linked up with the billionaires. He loves flying on the private jets. He says, sayonara, suckers. I will crack these regular Joe jokes, but I don't stand with you regular Joes anymore. In fact, everybody up in the cheap seats, those are the ones booing Elon, right? Clownery. But let us be reminded of what Malcolm taught us last week. Everybody remember last week? Malcolm X, we played the clip. Malcolm let us know that, do not look to these celebrities. Do not look to Black celebrities to be the thought leaders on politics and political actions and movements. Don't do that. And white folks, y'all don't do that either. Stop asking fucking Drake what he thinks about what he thinks about inflation. Nobody give a goddamn. Let's be clear about that. All right, y'all. Let me move along here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up on the video. It's taking me a little minute to get warmed up here. I'm doing my best, everybody. Appreciate it. Come on in. Thank you. Like Status Coup. Oh, like my channel too. It's called Burn It Down with Kim Brown, because that's my personal philosophy. I think if we do burn it down, because we can burn it down, because we have a lot of architects, we do know how to rebuild things. We have so many people working in industries and within, institutions that are exceptional at oppression, people who are working on the inside of the belly of the beast, who have brilliant ways and have concepts about how we can rebuild and transform our society into something that serves everybody, not just those at the top. So my name of my channel is called Burn It Down with Kim Brown. My show airs live Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 in the p.m. And check that out. Thank you very much. The next piece of news I wanted to bring, and I'm gonna hit this kind of quickly here. Some excellent news coming out of the state of Oregon. Outgoing Governor Brown yesterday, she didn't commute the sentences, but what she did was all of Oregon's death row inmates are no longer on death row. She has made sure that the 17 people that were on death row will instead be sentenced to life without parole. And she gave an interview to Oregon's, I think it's KGW News, and she gave a sort of cursory explanation as to why she decided to take this step as she exits the governor's mansion. Let's take a look at that.
A couple of things. Number one, it is immoral. Justice is not served by the state taking a life. Secondly, its impact is inequitable, depending upon where you live in the state and in this country. And third, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't prevent violent crime, and it costs taxpayers thousands, millions of dollars.
There are over 20 states across the country and the District of Columbia that have outright outlawed the death penalty for very good reason. Number one, it is an archaic form of punishment that does not do much to deter the crimes in which people are usually given the death penalty for. People who kill and who perhaps commit other felonies during the course of doing other felonies, they're not really deterred by the threat of the death penalty. So it doesn't do anything to deter violent crime. So that's one, it doesn't work. For two, as the governor said, it is disproportionately applied. The majority of people sitting on death row happen to be Black and brown. And when we look at projects out of I think is this project out of Illinois, or maybe they have so many different branches as it were, but when you look at most of the people that the Innocence Project has freed, it has been Black folks and brown folks. And when you go even further, when you look in the microcosm level, I'm thinking of specific cities like Philadelphia that had a conviction integrity unit by District Attorney Larry Krasner. And I think in Chicago, they have done something similar where they have been reopening cases of what was the name of that? I'm sorry, guys. It's a Chicago police officer who I believe through his fraudulent police work sent over 50 men to jail for murder, and which several of them can have been recently exonerated. So we know that there is a definite racial bias when the death penalty is used in sentencing. So what is the point of doing it? There really is none. And this whole tough on crime thing that America does, and does very badly, by the way, because when you look across the world, America has very punitive punishments. We have a very tight criminal justice system. We lock up more of our citizens than any other country in the world. Like, we believe in jail. Like, we over believe in jail in America, the land of the free, right? Um, and the amount of money that this country spends on incarcerating people is money that is absolutely misspent. And even for those that are on death row, I mean, you're basically housing somebody and just waiting for the opportunity to kill them. And this needs to be applied to more states. More places need to accept taking the death penalty off the table. In Missouri, most recently, there was a young man executed. His name was Kevin Johnson. Kevin was on death row since he was about 19 years old. Had plenty of contrition and reason to remain alive. And there was actually no reason why the governor of Missouri couldn't commute his sentence to life in prison. But in order to make a statement, to make a point, to be punitive, to be cruel even, the governor of Mississippi took this man's life. And for what reason? This young man left behind a daughter and a grandchild, who were actually, and the daughter, who was 19 years old, I believe, was prohibited from being in the chamber when her father was put to death. The cruelty is the point here. And as many steps as we can take to eliminate the cruelty, that needs to continue to happen. The carceral system in this country remains inhumane and cruel, period. But the death penalty is something that is archaic, that needed to be left far behind in the past. And I applaud Governor Brown for taking this step. And the incoming governor said that they will continue the same policy. So good job, Oregon. Well done. well done, and taking us one step closer towards a bit of humanity in this very inhumane system. And speaking of inhumanity, guys, the last story that I wanted to bring to you has to do with the sudden death of TV personality Stephen Boss, better known to many as Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show. And I understand this is not a pop culture show. We're not talking about celebrity news. But when I saw this story break this morning, I said, this is absolutely an opportunity to have a serious conversation about not only mental health care, but the reasons why so many people in this country seem to be in desperate mental distress. Let's take a look at a video. I believe this is going to be Twitch dancing with one of his kids, but it's part of her program, oftentimes filling in for Ellen when she was out on vacation. And his whole persona was happiness, and like very bubbly, very up. You would have, and I'm not even a big fan of the Ellen DeGeneres show, but I caught it enough times to know who he was and to kind of have an idea of his personality. And he always seemed like a very up person. And that is the insidiousness of mental illness and people who are contemplating self-harm and or suicide, because you don't know what is going on inside. You don't know what is actually happening in their head. And the ways that a person can present to the public does not oftentimes denote the internal turmoil that they are feeling. Twist was 40 years old. 40 years old. He leaves behind a wife, Allison, and 3 children. And when we talk about the issue of suicide in the US, it is not a shrinking problem. In fact, it is a growing problem. If we could pop up that CDC for me, Colin, because in 2019, we saw suicide rates go down some, but over the past 2 years, suicide rates have been on the rise, particularly among teen girls and Black people, but even more specifically, Black men are at an increased risk of committing suicide. We have seen even some notable folks to take their own lives tragically, and that's why sometimes I like to frame celebrity news in ways that it applies to everybody. Because you look at this gentleman, Twist, he seemed to be, like I said, extremely successful, had a family, had a very thriving career. You would not think that those would be the circumstances under which somebody like him would potentially take his life, but he did. And the other part about the suicide rates being on the rise is because, I know we've added the new mental health crisis nationwide helpline. I think it's 998. I'm a very bad distributor of public information at this particular moment. I'm pretty sure it's 998. And even that, even though that is a something, it's not a nothing. There has been some criticisms about that line, as well as about, if you're contemplating self-harm and you call that number and you tell them that you're contemplating self-harm, are they going to send the police to your house? Will that potentially exacerbate an already desperate situation? Yeah. So this whole system isn't perfect, but in this country, we spend so much money in the wrong directions. We don't even really care about people. We have just reauthorized the NDAA to the tune of $800 million plus, and we don't have substantial mental health care in this country. We do not have adequate regular people, regular health care for your body, let alone the care that your mind and your psyche require. And at the end of the day, you guys, capitalism is running a number on us. It's not only running a number on our bodies, as we see people being forced back to work in the pandemic. I know the pandemic, some people think it's over. It's not. It is definitely not. The ways in which our bodies have responded, and some people's bodies did not respond. People actually died by the hundreds of thousands during the pandemic. But capitalism, I'm saying all that to say that capitalism is forcing us to do a lot of unnatural things that takes our mind and our bodies in a lot of unnatural directions. And a lot of people are not able to handle it. And it's not shit that's normal, nor should it be handled. You should not be away from your house for 40 hours a week. You should not be having to deposit your newborn, your 6-week-old, your 8-week-old at childcare because you have to return to work. You should not be having to ask the people to come open up the glass for the baby formula because it's locked up, because capitalism has parents in such a desperate state that people have to steal in order to feed their kids. Like, there's so much about these systems that capitalism and white supremacy are the driving engines behind, that it is literally killing us by the millions and incrementally in the tens of thousands in suicides and gun violence and drug overdoses, right? Like the people, Americans are struggling. Like, Americans need to be very honest about the ways in which we are trying to keep up with the Joneses and put on airs to ways that is actually killing us or making us want to end it all, in the case of this young man. So please do yourself a favor, check in with yourself first, make sure that you are doing okay, and definitely check in with the people that are your so-called strong friends, right? Or your strong family members, people who may not complain a lot about their daily lives, and maybe on the exterior they may not feel comfortable complaining. I'm certain Twist probably didn't want to talk to his close friends about whatever he was feeling, because people would be like, man, what's wrong with you? Look at every things that you have going for you. Why would you be upset? Why would you be depressed? Why would you be sad? Don't be that friend. Okay. Be a safe sounding board for people to come. And if they need to unload or do some emotional dumping, let them. Because the alternative is that people remain silent. They remain deeply mired in their own pain and anguish, to the point that they will do and take desperate actions, okay, regardless of their circumstance or their situations. So I definitely want to send condolences going out to Twitch's family, to everybody that he knew, to all of his fans. Again, I only kind of knew him in passing, but when I saw this 40-year-old Black man had taken his life, I definitely thought it was something that we needed to speak about and to acknowledge. So rest in peace to Twitch. And gang, I apologize. I did not look in the chat much today. Oh, look, there's money. Let me hold on. I'm sorry. I'm very good at changing beats, switching beats. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for your super chat support. Carlos, it says racism and microaggressions have scientifically proven negative effects on our mental and physical health. Can I tell you guys a racism story and then I'm gonna let y'all go? Sorry. Since I got a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all this story and then I'm gonna let y'all go. So I'm from Maryland, Central Maryland. Okay, I'm from a place called Howard County, Maryland, a place that likes to sell itself as a racial utopia. Oh, look at all these interracial people living happily together in their fake in their fake utopia, right? So anyway, so I'm in my neighborhood, the neighborhood in which I grew up in which I was raised. Okay, they have a park in the neighborhood. The park is, on this particular day, it is empty, is isolated. There's nobody there. At this time, I'm gonna say this is maybe 2013. So we're going on 10 years ago. And this is how wonderful racism stories work, everybody. You never forget them shits, okay? You never forget when somebody came with you with the racism. You can recall every fucking detail. Okay, so I'm in the park with my two dogs. I had two pit bulls at the time, Breezy and Bagheera. Ooh, they were nice, young, spry little things there. Again, park is empty. I have my dogs off leash, okay? Coming up a path, I'm going to say this person was at least 150 to 200 feet away from me. Or so a white woman whom I had recognized from the neighborhood. She also lived in my neighborhood. I didn't know her name. She was walking with her dog, again, 150 feet away from me. She starts hollering to me from this distance. Hey, I couldn't understand what she was saying at first. And what she was saying was, put your dogs on a leash, right? And mind you, my dogs are adjacent to me, haven't left my side, have no interest in her dog. We're going on a separate path. She's coming from a different direction. We're not even really interacting with each other. And she's adamant for me to put my dogs on a leash, right? Lady, you don't tell me what the fuck to do, okay? So I tell her after some long distance jawing, after a few seconds of that, I told her to call the police. Like, get out my face. Me and my dogs are going on a walk. And that's exactly what we did. So my dogs and I walked through the park, through the path. Again, did not encounter her or anybody else. We're circling out of the park, coming back up to where the parking lot is, where my vehicle is parked. There's two cars in the parking lot. There's mine. And then there's somebody parked immediately behind me. So I'm parked in the spot, right? She's parked blocking my vehicle. Do you guys think I was mad? Do you think I got upset? I was instantly incensed. I get up to my car. This person is blocking me in, white woman blocking me in, right? I put my dogs in the car. I have a bat in my trunk, okay? I know very easily. I know that bat's in my trunk, okay? I said, I'm thinking to myself, go get that bat and maybe not go upside her head per se, but definitely go upside that driver's side mirror. go upside the mirrors once or twice. And then I said, God damn it, I got a fucking job. This bitch is going to run tape on me and I'm going to get fired for fucking busting her shit. So I get in my car. She hasn't moved her vehicle at all. She is still blocking me in. Lord Jesus. So because there was no other cars parked next to me, I was able to do a little quick 3 to 5 point turn and get out of the space and exit the park. Don't you know the white lady followed me? You know she followed me. Yes, she followed me. So I called the police. Now you know shit has gone south. you know the situation has gone completely left when I called the police. So I called the police And I said, hey, this woman is following me, this, that, and the third. So I drive to a police station. She knows clearly what turn I'm making. I turn off and I go to the police station. I tell them what happened. And they're like, oh, well, so I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. This woman was just trying to hold you against your will. Nothing we can do, though. So I said that to say, Carlos, yes, racism absolutely is something you feel in your veins, in your blood pressure, in your heartbeat, in your breathing. When people experience racism, it is a physical sensation. Okay, it is something that's why it's so easily recallable when people experience racism and incidents of racism, because my whole body felt it. It wasn't just my mind. It wasn't just me in the present. Everything about me was interpreting that instant of racism and understanding that I was not safe with someone trying to restrict my movements and someone who had threatened to call the police, and yet no police appeared. And I will give you guys a follow-up, and I'm gonna turn you loose. The next day, I went to the local police precinct again. Long story. So I inquired to them. I said, did anybody call 911 from this particular park? Because this person told me that they were calling the police on me. And obviously no police showed up, and this person tried to take matters into their own hands. And the police said that they did not receive any 911 calls. So that leads me to wonder, what was she going to do? Like, what was she going to do? This person was trying to provoke something, and they did, but they almost provoked me to violence. You understand? To violence. And but for understanding who was going to get in trouble had I reacted and the police showed up, was the only saving grace to that woman's face and to her vehicle, is because I know who would have went the fuck to jail for reacting in that moment. It wouldn't have been me, the victim. No, it would have been the fucking provocateur. You understand? She would have got off. I would have went the fuck to jail. So anyway, that's one of my racism stories. Tune back on Wednesdays for Kim's racism stories right here on Status Coup News. No, guys, thank you all so much for joining us today. I will check y'all back next Wednesday, hopefully. But be sure to tune in to Status Coup News. Of course, we're going to have the update about that new election for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen. They decided to go in a new direction for their union leadership. So stay tuned to Status Coup for more of that. Thank you so much to Jordan and Colin. See you guys later. Subscribe to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Thank you.